Hey, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we'll be talking to local experts to learn ways we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. To keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come, remember to protect what you pursue. Summer fishing is fired up with warm water and hungry fish moving into the bay. So let's hear who's making this show possible, and then we'll jump into the reports. Check it out. AFTCO has a gift for our listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For cool mornings, I love my Reaper sweatshirt. And on those hot days, my Samurai sun shirt. You just can't beat the quality and performance. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. Boaters know that the unexpected can happen anytime. That's why Seatow offers 24/7 on-water assistance with priority service for members. Whether it's a dead battery, running out of fuel, or needing a tow, Seatow's fleet is ready to help. Membership includes unlimited towing with no distance or dollar limits in your home area, fuel delivery, jump starts, and more. Plus, members receive exclusive discounts on fuel, electronics, dockage, and boat insurance. With over 500 ports nationwide, Seatow has you covered wherever you boat. Join today at seatow.com and boat with confidence.
All right, guys, welcome to this week's show. It's been a couple of weeks since, and I've been dying to get a hold and catch up with Captain Jake Bolts, Flying Fish, to hear all about his experience up at the Ocean City Tuna Tournament. So welcome back to the show, Captain Jake. How are we doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked for you. You guys went up there and represented Virginia Beach in such a great way. But I don't want to take any thunder. I want to hear about it firsthand from you. You know, just kind of talk me through like the days leading up, your preparation and planning, your days of fishing, and then what it was like sweating it out while y'all were waiting for other boats to weigh. I want the full picture for our listeners so they can understand what it's like to be in the sort of captain's seat going through a tournament like that and actually winning.
Yeah, start off with, the days prior, just making sure the boat's in good order. You never want to have a mechanical failure going up there or in the middle of a tournament. So just, doing oil changes and all that kind of stuff, making sure the boat's in top shape. And then we left Virginia Beach, I think it was like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning, so we could get up there pretty early and deal with all our last minute tackle stuff. And we had to get up there and register. So I think we got to Ocean City at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and did a bunch of tackle prep and went and registered and came back and did some more tackle prep and then kind of went into figuring out where I was going to go the next day. And I had been networking with some guys from Virginia Beach and up in Ocean City, and fishing up there had just been terribly slow. And luckily I had a couple of friends that found a bite inshore there, right back off Virginia. So I rolled the dice and ran down there the next morning. It was 85-mile run from Ocean City Inlet. I ran 100 miles up there on Wednesday just to run 85 miles right back down south Thursday morning.
Wow. Did you have to leave from their port? Is that part of the tournament rules?
Yeah, that one is you got to leave from there, and you get 100 miles from their sea buoy. So you could go another 15 miles, but yeah, it was still a long morning. There was a little bit of a south swell, so I think it took us 4 hours to get down there, and still there like 20 minutes before lines in. And as soon as I pulled it back, I started marking all the bait and a couple of fish marks. And I remember looking at my dad, and I was just like, it's going to happen here, be ready. And I got in a real good area where there were some birds picking around, and I just sat right there in neutral till 7 o'clock was lines in for that tournament. So whenever you're there early, it's the minutes feel like hours, just wanting to get a bait in the water, hoping that the all the life and stuff you're seeing doesn't go away. And put it in gear at 7 o'clock, and I think it was 7:02. We got hit by 6 and caught all 6. So that was a good
2 minutes.
2 minutes in. It was, yeah. At that point, I kind of knew my decision was correct, regardless of what had happened. And I think for like the next 2 hours, man, we never really got the boat never got the full spread out. That's for sure. Never got the boat in gear that much. Every time we would put the boat back in gear, we would hook another one. And I think in just a little over 2 hours, we caught 22. And I made the decision at that point, because all there was is, yellow fins in there, and we had some decent ones, and I was going to run out to the canyon and try to get a big eye bite. And so we ran out there like 12, 15 miles, slowed down, put the baits out. It wasn't 5 minutes. We had a bite, and was pulling a lot of line. I was like, okay, here we go. This might be a bigger yellowfin or something. And up comes a blue marlin jumping. So we ended up catching a blue marlin there.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it was the guy had never caught a blue marlin. So that was, just cherry on top already. And I ended up trolling up to the north side of the canyon. I think we went 2.5 hours without a bite. And we got around the pilot whales finally in the afternoon. They made a good showing, and we caught a nicer yellowfin, and then made another circle right through there. And 10 minutes after that yellowfin bite, we had a big eye bite. I watched him eat the side tracker bar, and he ripped off about 100 yards, 200 yards of line real quick and pulled the hook. That was a sting. But at that point, I think it was 2:30, so we could only fish till 3, fish another 30 minutes without a bite, and ran back in there and weighed our fish. We didn't know what really, we had to pull all the tunas out when we got to the dock and start putting them on the hand scale, because you're allowed to weigh your 5 biggest for the day. And a lot of them were so close, it, came down to a pound or half a pound.
Wow.
We put them on the scale, and we had 209.5. And I was actually very happy with that number. I didn't know what we were going to be sitting at the end of the first day. And we were second place. Actually, the boat that was docked right next to me had weighed 2 pounds more than us. So we were sitting in second. And at that point, I was game planning for the next day. Originally, we were going to fish Friday and Sunday and lay on Saturday. But I knew that word was going to get out on this bite. So I told everyone, get your stuff back together. We're going right back the next morning. And so we did. Ran back down there 85 miles, and we had some bites right out of the gate in the morning. We had a lot of fish come off or just not get the hook. I think we caught 3 fish out of our first 10 bites or something. And then we went 2 hours without a bite. And that's when I really started stressing out, because I knew I needed at least another 5 solid fish to have a chance. And
yeah, so quick question about that. So talk us through, you said earlier rolling the dice, and I remember seeing a picture on Facebook of a very large wad of cash, which I guess was the entry fee. So just to give people an idea of like the pressure that you were up against and dealing with, like what's the rough price to enter in all the categories that you guys entered? Like ballpark.
So we were across the board all in, and it was 30 grand just for the tournament, for fuel and bait and, dockage and all that. I think we were somewhere in the low to mid 40s when the final tally came out on that.
Man, so that's a lot of pressure when it comes to making a decision as captain, and everyone's got to go with it because you're captain. So, when you're making that decision, which you kind of just like very relaxed tone said, rolled the dice, but like what was going through your head once you made the decision and put the point on the plotter and started heading to it? What was going through your mind?
I've felt pretty confident, and I've always said, you can't second guess yourself. I was talking with another captain the other day about it. You got to go with your gut. We were going to make a shirt that just says "Go with your gut," because
I like that.
Times in tournaments, I have second guessed myself at the last minute and gone to the place, and where I should have gone or where I was going to go ended up being the right place. So I decided this time I was just going to stick with my gut, and it for sure paid off. Like I said, that second day we'd been going 2 hours without a bite, and my dad was starting to get on me about it, and I was like, just trust the process. And luckily, all the Ocean City boats that were there who had found the bite ended up picking up and running out to the canyon, I guess, trying to catch a big eye or a bigger fish. And the fleet thinned out.
You watched them leave.
Yeah, pick up and leave. And there was probably 100 between the Virginia Beach boats and the Ocean City boats. There was probably 100, 150 boats there. Um, Saturday morning compared to Friday morning when we were there, it was me and two or three other boats. So there was a lot of prep fish in shallow water. It doesn't work out. So those boats got out of there, and I just kind of worked my way up to the north a little bit, just outside of everybody. And I started finding the good bait marks again, and I felt really good. And started getting bites. I think it was about 11:30. We had a couple bites and kind of picked away at them, and then found a really good area about 1 o'clock. And it was just like the previous morning from about 1 to 3 p.m. I think we were fighting fish most of that entire 2 hours. Lines out was at 3. We were fighting fish at 3. And I think when the dust settled, we had caught another 22 fish that day. And we had even let 2 go because we were making sure we weren't getting to our boat limit just in case we had caught a bigger one.
Right.
At that point, we picked it up and we're running back to Ocean City. And I was talking with the guys. I was like, I don't know where we're going to end up, or, this gives us a chance or what. But man, I mean, it's caught 45 tunas in 2 days. I was like, in a blue marlin, you can't ask for much more than that. Great tournament regardless. And
yeah,
we waited a long time and to weigh our fish. And when we weighed in, it was 198.5 was our weight for our second day, which I was actually a little disappointed with. I thought we were going to be right around 210, right around the same, maybe even a little more, but that didn't happen. So Saturday night, when all the boats had weighed in, I saw we were first place in the stringer, and that's when more stress set in. Rather than the 2 fishing days, I got a lot more stress at that point. And Sunday, out of the 100, I think there was 111 boats.
Sunday, you have to wait for everybody else to fish.
Yeah, it's never a good
So there's
feeling not being
111.
able to go out. Yeah, 111, and yeah, it's not a good feeling sitting at the dock not being able to go out there and kind of control what's going on that day and be able to up your weight and just sit around. But I think there was like 85 boats on Sunday out of the 111, so it was most of the fleet. So I was thinking at that point, I was just hoping to be on the leaderboard and walk away with something. And my dad, we had got our ice maker rebuilt, and he had picked it up he drove up to Ocean City, and I took the boat. So he drove the ice maker up to Ocean City. So Sunday morning we got up, put the ice maker back in the boat. And that was a couple hours, kept our mind off of it, and then gave the boat a good wash. And then we actually just all went up and sat in the pool for an hour until weigh-in started. And then once weigh-in started, I was glued to my phone watching the live stream and watching the totals, and kind of just sat there biting my fingernails until the last boat pulled up. And because I've been kicked out of the money spot before on the last boat to weigh on a tournament. So once that last boat came in and they threw 3 fish on the dock and I knew we had it, man, what a weight off my shoulders at that point.
Dude, I can't even imagine the rush of like excitement, especially after those hours of just like agony of watching each stringer come in and not knowing whether they're going to pull more big fish out or pull a big eye out. And then, once it set in that you guys had won, like, did it feel real? Like, describe the feeling of realizing that you've just won this tournament and what was the total prize money, just so that our listeners can kind of have an idea of the magnitude?
The total check was $357,460.
So once you realized that you had won that, like, what goes through your mind? Like, what are you feeling in that moment?
I don't really know. I mean, that was my first big check, and it more so was just, so many years of fishing tournaments and not really doing much or getting small checks, and just to be able to actually win one and all that hard work and years of early mornings and a lot of failures and going and learning all this stuff over the years. Man, it's hard to describe. I mean, Oh, yeah. Me and my dad and my mate Bill have been fishing together for 15, 16 years. So it was just a really cool moment for the three of us. And as soon as me and my dad were watching the live stream together, and as soon as we watched that last boat weigh in, I mean, we just hugged for maybe a minute or two and just, kind of soaked it all in. There was a couple tears shed. It was just such a cool moment to have with my dad and my mate Bill, who was my next door neighbor growing up and has fished with me for so many years. I was just happy for the three of us, really, the group of us, and all the guys that obviously put all the money in and trusted me with their money to catch them some fish. So it was just really cool.
Yeah, I think I speak for all of our listeners when just saying we're stoked that you guys did it, but just love the whole story of like 2 epic days of fishing, catching over 20 tunas, for years gone by. That's almost been unheard of. And then you throw a blue marlin in the mix. And then the fact that you got to do it with your dad and your great friend Will, who's also been your mate. You said he's been your mate for how long now?
Well, we've been doing the charter thing together for 5, 6 years now, but we started fishing together when I think I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. And
That's awesome.
he's been our, mate, even when we were just private boat fishing and just fishing for fun. He would always come along and do all the mate work. And then, once he took over as an actual mate position. So, it's a really cool story. And just a lot of years of trial and error and hard work, and it finally paid off. So that was the coolest thing for me. I mean, I tell everyone the money's nice, but you go up there to Ocean City and you're fishing against 110 other boats that most of those guys are some of the best fishermen in the world, and just to compete against them and win the thing against those guys. I mean, that's where it's really important to me, fishing against the best in the world. It's not really about the money. The money's nice, don't get me wrong, but beating those guys was what made it special for me.
Go with your gut. I like that. And you mentioned some failures in the past and some challenges. How would you say that your experiences where things haven't gone right, um, how did that play into your decision making? How does that play into your fishing that ultimately was a key part of your success?
Well, yeah, like I said, I've in previous tournaments, I've second guessed myself literally coming out of the inlet. I had the bow pointed one way, and then at the last second, I would change and go somewhere else. So just obviously learning from that, and then you know, over the years, just different tackle failures, being able to minimize tackle failures, and then seeing fish beside the boat, losing fish beside the boat for certain reasons, and that's really what you learn from. And that's something that you can't learn unless you have experience year after year and see different things, because a fish will do so many different things behind the boat or whatever that can mess up trying to catch it. So
Yeah.
it's all experience and just going out there and doing it. That's how you learn. And like I said, that's why so many years it felt so good.
Dude, I really can't imagine the feeling. And like you're saying, I mean, it's not like an overnight sensation or a, hey, we got a boat last week and went and fished a tournament and won $357,000. I mean, this has been your whole life in the making. You grew up fishing. Your dad, mentored and transferred as much as knowledge as he knew to you, and then you got out there and did it, and you've been doing it for years. I mean, it's truly a testimony to hard work, putting in the time, and really just, I think the old adage of, success is when, practice and planning meets an opportunity, and this is a great example of that. Talk to me about your tackle. I see you're wearing a shirt that says Sterling on it. Is that some of the tackle you guys were using?
Yeah. Our spread consisted mostly of sterling tackle, side tracker bars, and what they call a cedar rain chain. And then the rest of our stuff was magic tail. That's just Dante's a good friend of mine, and
Yeah.
both the companies have really supported us over the years. And man, their stuff catches fish. We got bid on on just about everything, as you can imagine, when you catch that many fish. But I think it definitely gives us an edge, and for now, because people are starting to catch on. It seems like those guys are selling out of a lot of their stuff quick now. So at least we had the edge for a little while, anyway.
So, to catch 22 tunas and then a blue marlin, just, those are listening and hoping to still go out there and recreationally or, on a charter catch some tunas. Uh, you mentioned some inshore bites. Maybe talk us through what kind of water temps you look for, what kind of breaks, and then general like trolling speeds and, terminal tackle all the way out to the lure. What does that typically look like? Just kind of talk us through like getting your spread out, what's in the spread, water temp, and speed.
Yeah, I mean, normally it varies throughout the summer. When the fish first start to show up, we're always looking for temperature breaks, looking at satellite shots, and normally looking for above 65 degrees typically.
Yeah.
I had great fishing anywhere from 62 degrees, all the way up to 80 something degrees. It varies, but earlier in the year, you're just looking for those eddies of water, and that's the biggest thing. Um, and then the fishing we had during the tournament was all bait based. There was just sand eels that you're marking on the bottom, and those fish were in there eating the sand eels. I think almost every fish when it hit the deck was spitting up piles of sand eels all over the deck, and that's what's holding those fish in there.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean,
are sand eels different than like the eels that we see at the tackle shop?
yeah, they're a little smaller. I mean, they range from a couple inches, probably. I mean, the biggest one I've seen is probably 8 or 9 inches, but they're really skinny, almost like a strand of pasta or something. They're real weird looking.
Yeah,
But
they do sound weird. So that's what they were feeding on. So how did you guys, your tackle that you were using? You mentioned some sidebars. I've never heard of a sidebar before. What's that?
yeah, I mean, it has a like directional fin on it in the front, and it pulls it out to the side, so the bar actually pulls out there in the clean water rather than back there in your wake. It's I think that is a big advantage, having your stuff out there where there's not a bunch of disturbed water.
I can
Um,
see it better.
yeah, 100%. And
That's cool.
those things, they caught 75% of the fish, I think, those 2 days.
That's awesome. And your trolling speed when you're out there, pulling sidebars and your plugs, like what's kind of the ideal speed, or do you vary it based on like what you're seeing or your depth?
Uh, I vary it based on the conditions. I try to stay around 6.5, 7 knots. But even in the Virginia Beach Tuna tournament, when we got out there the first morning, it was super rough. Um, if you try to go that fast, your baits and everything will fly out of the water or skip out of the water, and they just don't look very natural. So I slowed it down to, I think, 5.5 knots just to keep my baits in the water. And as soon as I did that, we started getting bites. And I think that's, you just got to be able to adapt to anything and not be open to trying anything. Because you don't want your baits just flying out of the water all the time, and you just got to kind of change it based on the conditions you have. And some people will say in the dirtier, greener water, you might want to go a little slower just because fish can't see it so well, and in the cleaner water, you might want to go a little faster. That way, they can't, you know, kind of get on to you and smart to you. But I typically stay around 6.5, 7 knots.
Well, man, I'm still just kind of like putting myself in your shoes and imagining what it's like to win a tournament of that scale and get to hold up that trophy and celebrate with your dad. Just want to say congrats again. It was incredible for you guys to show up and show out for Virginia Beach that way.
Yeah, it was nice. I think we were one of 3 Virginia Beach boats up there, and it was nice to work with those guys up there and see, some familiar faces. But
Yep.
still happy to do it for all the guys back here and
Yep.
keep us on the map.
Absolutely. And obviously you came home the next day and kicked it right back into work mode, doing your main thing, which is the charters on flying fish. You guys came back and slayed the tunas the next couple of days. What have you been fishing for and seeing the last few days, and what's ahead? Folks are thinking about booking a charter with you guys. They want to get on a winning boat and experience a winning captain's fishing. What are you guys looking at right now? What's on the future? And just talk us through a couple of your recent trips.
Yeah, we've been inshore the last 2 days. We had a couple trips today and one yesterday. Catching a lot of mackerel, some bluefish, and definitely saw some cobias, but did not capitalize on our attempts. And there's some king mackerels around, and there's still some drum every now and again. So, trying to do a little bit of everything inshore. And we got another inshore trip tomorrow, and then we'll be back offshore Thursday. And be our first trip where we're really switching over to marlin fishing. We'll be, pulling the dredges and pulling out the little reels and doing all that because we have the white marlin open next week, all week. So we need a little bit of practice before we get to that. And we got the ladies tournament, the Virginia Beach Billfish tournament 2 weeks after that. So we'll really be focused on marlins and mahis the next month or so, and unless the tuna show back up good, and hopefully there's some wahoos around and all that, and still do the tile fishing thing and all that offshore, but really our main focus will be the marlins here for the next month and a half.
Yeah, I saw the weather forecasted for the White Marlin Open is looking dicey. I'm imagine you guys are gonna be really grateful that you've got this much bigger boat this year going into that kind of forecast.
Yeah, Monday doesn't look very fun, and Tuesday is probably not going to be very fun either. You fish 3 out of 5, so we'll see how the rest of the week looks. As of right now, my plan is to fish the first day on Tuesday, and Monday doesn't look like any fun at all. And I guess we'll be fishing 3 out of 4 then if Monday's a no-go. So hopefully get a couple pretty days more towards the end of the week because that'll make for a long week if the weather's bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely knocking on wood and saying a prayer for you guys to, do all you can do to make it happen, and maybe the good Lord will bless you guys with another killer catch.
Yeah, that would
be
nice.
Something. Maybe lightning will strike twice. That would be amazing. Well, speaking of lightning striking twice, it makes me think of your Instagram handle, Lightning Bolts. That'd be kind of cool. What's the best way for folks to contact you guys if they want to get booked on flying fish for a charter, whether that's inshore fishing, like you said, Spanish mackerel blues, cobia reds, or get offshore for some of the deep drop in tuna? What's the best way for them to contact you and get booked on a trip?
Yeah, definitely call me first at 757-769-9545 and check out our website, flyingfishsportfishing.com, and then our Facebook page, Instagram page, all that. You can, kind of see what we're catching on a day-to-day basis and keep up with it. But yeah, if anyone wants to book a charter or has any interest about it, just give me a call and I can lead you in the right direction, figure out what kind of trip you want to do.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll look forward to catching up with you after these next couple of tournaments. In order to remind me, you got the White Marlin next, then the Wine Women, and then the Virginia Beach Billfish tournament.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, got it. Well, man, have fun, be safe, and look forward to catching up and hearing how those trips go.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all, that's going to wrap up a cool segment catching up with Captain Jake, hearing all about their epic first place finish in the Ocean City Tuna Tournament. Y'all stick around for a word from our sponsors, keeping this great content free for you each week, and we'll be back with you real soon.
Whether you're hitting the sand with set rigs using the traditional scent strips for pompano, or fishing the flats or marshes for speckled trout, redfish, and flounder, Fish Bites has something for you. They're family owned and operated in St. Augustine, Florida, and pride themselves on making reliably consistent fishing products for anglers of all ages around the world. Fish Bites bait and lures are made with pride in the Sunshine State, USA. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits at fishbites.com. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine-grade aluminum with a protective anti-corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast-drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Doc. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. Looking to protect your dock with materials built to last? Shoreline Plastics has you covered. As leaders in composite marine dock pilings and building materials, they engineer solutions that stand the test of time. Their EcoPile is the ultimate composite piling designed for longevity and eco-friendliness, ensuring your dock remains strong for years. And if you need a quick fix for worn pilings, try Snap Jacket, a durable solution that restores and extends their life. Visit shorelineplastics.com to discover how you can elevate your next marine project. Shoreline Plastics, where durability meets innovation. All right, guys, welcome to the next segment this week. But most of us that fish in the lower Chesapeake Bay area, we kind of know this captain. We talk to him from time to time. It's always a little bit of fun getting the lighter side of things. But we want to talk to Captain Mofton Hayne about the beloved cobia fishing that's been quite the drama this summer so far. Welcome back to the show, Cap. How we doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm hot, man. It's been really hot, and that's just on land.
Bad.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
what it's like out there all day on the water.
Dude, I will tell you, at least the water you get like a breeze. But, we've been doing, I've been out there, I don't know, 20 plus days in a row. And yeah, my brain's fried. I go to bed, I come home, I clean the boat, and I can't even half the time finish my dinner in bed. I just fall asleep with a fork in my hand. It just cooks you. You're just
Yeah.
so beat, beat.
Dude,
But
there's nothing like the way that the heat, like that intense, wet, humid heat, just takes the literal energy out of you.
yeah, and the sun, it
Yeah.
just pounds you, just cooks you alive.
Ugh. Well, it's definitely been cooking some sea surface temperatures because, I mean, you guys have been having to go all over Tarnation to find fish. I mean, just first of all, those that are just tuning in that have maybe hearing your voice for the first time, give us just a real brief overview of the type of boat you run and what you guys specialize in.
Yeah, so we do a Cobia and redfish. That's our main target species in the summertime. I run a Pathfinder 24 foot. Of course, it has a tower on it, full
Yep.
controls and all that for seeing them. Really, I love the 24 foot size boat. It's quick and I can move it, all over the place. So
Yeah.
it's a great boat for the area.
Yeah, it's a perfect maneuverable boat, in and out of bridges and pylons and all the above. Plus,
Yep.
fuel efficient, and that open bow platform is really cool. One of the unique things about your charter, sometimes you'll let your guests cast and kind of teach them how to hook the fish themselves, which is really cool.
Yeah, that huge casting platform. Actually, today, we didn't even cast a single time. Our customers, as soon as they got on the boat, they're like, "We're gonna do it all." And I was like, "That sounds great." And that huge casting platform, I had two guys up there, and they were hooked them left and right. It was a good time out there today.
That's awesome. So, circling back to the sea surface temperatures and the sun being so hot, I mean, it's been a really weird summer, and I just want to get your kind of hot take on what has it been like since the start of the season up till now. What's changed this year, different from years past, and what are you doing to overcome it?
Yeah, it has been quite the year. I've done this quite a while now, and I've never seen water like this. We used to get scared in like 84, 83-degree water, 85 at the most. And
Yeah.
I've seen temps as high as 89.5. Even today, we had our highest temp was 86.97, I think is what we had. And what I think it's doing to the fish is if you get into that hot water like that, you might be in the right area. Sure, there's cobias there, but that's the surface temp is so hot that you got the thermocline 10 feet
Mm.
down and it's 75 degrees down there. Why on earth would the fish come up into 90 degrees, get cooked if they could just stay at that 10 foot down where you can't see them because our water's dirty? That's where I think a lot of these fish are in the bay specifically. It's just deep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do get weird times where they will pop up, and I haven't quite tracked that yet on why they come up at certain times. But this year specifically, especially with this hot water, it's like, you'll go an hour without seeing a fish,
Right.
but then you get an hour of epic fishing. So it's like they're here, but why are they only coming up at that certain time with these certain temperatures when normally the cooler temps, you see them all day long? It's really strange.
Yeah. It's been weird watching I've been looking at Hilton's real-time navigator and watching the sea surface temperatures and even going back through some of the archives and looking at specifically back when we first heard about that really great tuna bite and there was that nice, clean, I say clean, but distinct, water line where you had a hot and a cold lined up, like just north of like sort of Rodanthe, Outer Banks area,
Mhm.
and everybody was able to shoot southeast and go get this epic tuna bite. And then in a matter of like 1 week, it was like the Gulf Stream completely engulfed the entire like eastern seaboard with hot, 80 plus degree water. And I mean, I don't know what you think about this, but in my opinion, watching that kind of happen so fast, it's like it had nowhere else to go but to spill into the bay as well. And we watched in a matter of a week or two, the temperatures jumped like 10 degrees. And I just think that maybe the fish, kind of shocked them, and they were just like, well, the surface must be too hot, so we're just going to kind of adapt to staying down this summer. And it seems like that's been the way
Yeah.
it's been, just down.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Gulf Stream theory you have, feed, but I can tell you 100% if you're like if you're in that hot water and you don't find cold water, it's weird because like usually you're trying to find the warm water or like
Right.
anything like that. It's like it's the opposite now. It's like where's the cold water?
Yeah.
Even just today, we came out in the morning and uh, we got our we just trying to sit there and like where do we go today? Like
Yeah.
where do we go? Where do we think the cold water is? And I have been putting the boat on a plane and just running and running and running and running until I see something around the 80, 79 degree mark.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound that much to you and me. Like, okay, 85 to 82 might not seem like much to a human, but to a
Right.
fish, that's catastrophic.
Everything. Yeah.
And so as soon as I see that drop, that's where I'm going to fish all day, no doubt. And sure enough, as soon as you get to some cooler water,
Hmm.
there's fish there. But it's crazy because like you go way up. Sometimes we're 20 miles from the inlet, but we
Hmm.
find that cold water, we catch fish. And the second you are done with your charter for the day and you run back in, you're in that warm water, you don't see a single fish all the way back home. They're just bodied in that just slightly cooler water.
That's
It's wild.
so check this out. I'm gonna, our listeners obviously can't see my screen, but you should be able to see this these sea surface temp shots, right? So
Yep.
these go back. I'm gonna go back to looking at like Tuesday, and we're looking at Hilton's real time navigator where we can drag our cursor around and just kind of look at the different temperatures. And so you see this really dark red line down just north of like Oregon Inlet. This is the Gulf Stream, right? Well,
Yep.
it used to be that you would see all above this would be this like light blue color, like low 70s, and then all of a sudden, in a matter of, that couple of weeks I was talking about back in early June, boom, you see the red and the yellow and orange pretty much everywhere. And look at the inside of the Chesapeake Bay. Look above Cape Charles. We're talking
It's
we're
burgundy.
talking 85, 86 degrees. I mean, it is just absolutely smoking up there.
Yep.
But to your point, you kind of go and you can see right here, we're looking just outside of, kind of Cape Henry area, and you see these little pockets of cool water, 79,
Yep.
79 again, and then right next to 79, you've got 83. So, like you were just talking about what you saw today, that how big of a difference in temperature?
I mean, I'm looking just anything around the 80 degree mark, 81, 82.
Right.
I'd prefer it 79, 78, 77, but I'll take anything below 89 degrees.
Yeah.
But realistically, anything just noticeable colder,
Yeah.
just a little bit. Yeah. And it's
So,
funny that I can see it on the graph here that you're
right.
showing me. It's that those are kind of the pocket areas of,
That
where
was
we're looking
literally
for.
literally going to be my next question. So I'm going to adjust the gradient a little higher. I'm going to make it like 93 degrees to 77 degrees is the difference. So it'll add a little bit more color texture in terms of like what we're looking at. So like now you can see a little bit clearer some of the lines. So if you're looking at blue, light blue being the coolest, green being a little bit warmer, do these areas that are lighter blue where the cooler water is represent the general area where you were finding fish on the surface?
Yeah, for sure. One thing I can tell you is that whole left side of your screen right now, it's lifeless. I haven't fished in there in 4
Meaning
weeks.
meaning inside of the bay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's not, and that's the whole, like you're correct. Like yes, we have been going to the right and fishing that colder water.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's no fish in the bay.
Right.
I do believe, talking to Mike, fishing for mortgages, diver Mike,
Mm-hmm.
he makes me strongly believe on thermoclines. And I know they're real.
Yeah.
And, there's many days where he'll go down 10, 15 feet and say, hey, there's cobias all over the bottom or whatever. And I think that's what's happening in our bay. I think there's plenty of bait and rays and cobias and redfish in the bay. It's just way, way, way too hot for these fish to come on top. Way too hot.
Yeah. I completely agree. And looking at this, it's like it's almost looks like a physical barrier when you see just how distinct that hot line is, cutting from basically like Little Creek over to Cape Charles. It's almost like a divider that just says, hey, this side of the bay and further up is just too hot to be up on the surface.
Well, I mean, you got to think if you come into a house and it's, 85 degrees in the house, you don't want to sleep there tonight. But if it's, 69, 70, why would you ever choose 85 over that? So
right.
And that's for a human. So imagine what a fish feels.
Absolutely. And when we think about like tuna fishing and how, we've gotten so accustomed over the years to look for these, temp breaks to target where tuna might be, might be hanging out, might be feeding, we're almost having to start to think a little bit differently about how to, target cobia. I've heard so much conversation about like, where are they? Where are they? And it's been frustrating. And I know several charter captains out there that everybody knows that these guys know how to catch fish. There's no question these guys know how to catch fish. And they're having days where it's tough to even make a limit. And it's no fault of theirs. It's just these fish just aren't up. So anyways, I appreciate you kind of going down this, browbeating of the sea surface temperature with me, because it really is interesting to look at the data, look at Hilton's real-time navigator, see the actual satellite shots, and get to connect the dots of like, okay, what are we seeing out on the water and what is the actual satellite telling us? And it kind of tells a pretty clear story.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the satellite images like you, but that's literally kind of funny because that's exactly like what we've been doing is those areas / just driving till we find something similar.
For sure.
That's pretty much where we always end up.
Yep. And I mean, you can go back historically, so it'd be fun sometime when, you're not getting cremated by the sun to go out and look at some of your logs from recent trips when things started to change, and then go look at the sea shot from those same days and see what was actually going on. It's kind of cool to put the picture together with what you actually experienced. You go back here to like Sunday, the 27th, you can see that there's a little bit difference here in terms of like where the water line is. It's neat to look at. I'm kind of a nerd for this stuff. I feel like if we had Travis on here, he'd be like, oh yeah, you need to triangulate the YX axis and then you divide by 72 and you're going to get 400 redfish. But you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to look at this over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, as some of these, actual temperatures cool off, maybe we get a storm system this weekend. It looks like we might get a little bit of something. It'll be cool to see what happens with the sea surface temperatures. Maybe it'll relax a little bit and bring them up.
That's what I was about to say. We got this nor'easter starting Friday. It looks like it blows northeast all the way till next Friday.
Yep.
I think that's the best thing that we could possibly have right now.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's not bad at all. It's actually great fishing. I mean, we smoked them today, but it's only in these small areas. So I think with this northeast wind that we have coming up Friday, it's gonna, adjust everything, hopefully with the cooler temperatures and then, again, a northeast wind, it's gonna cool everything off. And I think positively, like, trying to be positive here.
Who am I even talking to right now?
I know,
I'm not used to this.
I mean, 89-degree water, dude. Like, come on. Like, I lived in Florida for 5 years. Like, 89-degree water down there, like, it even sucked down there.
Oh, yeah.
So 89 degrees here is no good. So with the northeast winds coming, I think once this all shifts over and drops the water temperature, it's going to be good.
Improve.
Pretty much in the normal spots, not in just these like 1 square mile of 79-degree water areas.
Right. And that's the only place that you're seeing them. And then I hate to even bring this topic up, but gosh, I've seen so many posts about it. It hurts your soul when you see it, but Omega, the bait. I mean, it just, it hurts your heart as a recreational fisherman to see that happening. But like you guys are out there every day seeing it. Like, what's your experience like when you're out there grinding to finally get bait, find fish, and then have a good bite, and then the next day just seeing it get absolutely destroyed by those harvesting boats?
It's pretty frustrating to the point where, normally you call your charter the day before, right? And you're like, hey guys, weather's looking good. We caught X amount of fish today, probably expecting to do about the same. Let's go out there and have a good time. Except, guys, there's one variable that I don't know. Is Omega going to come suck up all the bait and there'll be no fish there? So we might have to start from scratch. That's the worst part is every day it seems like, again, you find this cold water and everything's going to be in there. You're going to have cobias, you're going to have bunkers. Why is there another variable that, it's human variable that maybe we can't go to that same spot today, guys, that we caught, 15 fish in for our customers yesterday. It might be gone today.
Yeah.
We gotta start scratch. It's really brutal. And it's terrible to watch because, I've been doing this since 2012 and years ago, 2013, 14, 15, 16, maybe even 17, there was points where there were such big bunker schools. And a lot of these fish recently have been in the bunker schools.
Mhm.
Like that's where they want to just hang out. It's really easy to catch them there too. They're just floating there asking to die. So they're just glowing.
Yeah.
And back in the day, we would have, miles of menhaden. Maybe not miles, but legit
Like football fields worth of it.
massive amounts. And you could have, and what we used to do was pull up to these schools and everybody would get their own section of these bunker schools.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, everybody just sit there and just chill out. And these cobias would rise up. You'd catch them, get them in the boat. Everything's cool.
Yeah.
And now it's a battle of picking up Omega scraps, because I was out there. I've been out there for fishing those cold water spots for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And there were massive bunker schools. And it was great. I actually called a lot of my friends. I was like, dude, this reminds me of the old days. These schools are huge and there's a lot of fish in them.
Yeah.
And then one day they just start going out there and sucking it all up. And now we run out there and it's these little, maybe 50 feet wide to 100 feet wide.
If that.
Schools, if that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very if that. I'm talking the ones I'm seeing fish in. And, you got a bunch of boats out there. So everybody's fighting over these few little bunker schools. And it's a shame. And I have to change my whole plan accordingly to have they killed all the bait and life in that area?
Yeah.
Or what? And even today, I was out there in the cold water and it was crystal clear. Dude, beautiful blue water. And Omega showed up and they started sucking up everything around me and blowing their horns. The whole ordeal because whatever. It's their bait. Yeah. And they let this sludge out and it makes the water like dirty and like foamy on the surface. It just looks terrible. You can't even enjoy yourself because it's like and you feel it's just miserable to watch. Like all this bait just getting wiped out, and that's what we rely on is bait.
It'd be like trying to eat breakfast at like your favorite like diner, and they're like slaughtering the pigs and chickens in the middle of the dining room.
Just pretty close. Yeah.
Just awful juxtaposition of two things that aren't supposed to go together. You got this beautiful day, blue sky, clean water, and then bam, fish getting netted and garbled and mangled and minced into foam. Ugh.
And the worst is when they blow their horns at me. It makes me so mad, dude. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to catch 2 cobias here. Like, leave me alone. Like, they start putting this net around you. Like, bro, I was here been here for 2 weeks. Like, leave me alone. Please leave me alone.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't see your name on these fish here. I wonder if maybe there would be less demand if we made like a big public service announcement to all the women that like, hey, did you know like your lipstick and your makeup is actually this like stinky, ugly fish? Maybe there would be less desire for it. Who knows? But surely
know they used it for all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
and I want to make sure, I want to fact check myself here, but I think Menhaden uses, I think it is a lot of cosmetic and personal care products. The fish oil specifically is what's used as a skin conditioning agent, and then like a solvent in products like lipstick. So, um,
And the other thing behind it is like, yeah, we might be mad at them for ruining our fishery, but like, is it really the employees? They just have a job. Like, there's a lot of drama behind it. It's just,
no,
I don't
it's
know.
definitely not the guys running the boats. It's the guys
Correct.
that own the boats and are profiting from it, and not really seeming. What I've always had a trouble with is like how is it that there's such a sort of divorce from reality from the people that sort of profit from this and make the decisions to push as hard as they do, and the reality of how it impacts the fishery, the resource, and such a huge number of recreational fishermen. It's like I can't imagine a scenario where the people who are directly responsible are in a room with all the people affected and are able to like look us in the eyes and be like, no, 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 we're really proud and happy with what we do and why we do it. Like I just can't picture that.
No, it's that. I mean, I don't know. I don't want. I can't even go into detail about it. All I can tell you is the fishing aspect. It really is. I mean, I don't even want to say anything, bad,
Yeah,
but
I know, I
it,
know.
it, it is really brutal to watch. It is brutal because they will literally wipe out a good bite, that we rely on. We need consistency on charters.
Right.
We don't need to go out there every day and be like, okay, where are we going to start fresh today? They People are paying us because we know where the fish are. We know they're going to be a debate. We know, all these variables.
Right.
And then you come on the horizon, and it's like they're not there anymore. Where do we go today, boys? So every charter captain splits up into a million miles away, and then one person will find them, and we all call each other, and then we go to them. It's a great bite, and the very next day, you come over the
Gone.
horizon, it's gone again. It's like, dude, like what? Why is that a variable? We already have clouds. We already have 90-degree water.
Right.
We
So
already
many
have,
conditional things.
we got wind. We have a nor'easter. It's like, why is this a variable? Like, are we real guys? Like, why are we
Uh,
doing this to ourselves?
uh,
So,
it's a lot to take in, that's for sure. I'll show you this picture. So this is one of our good friends of the show listeners, Steve. He goes by Fish Ninja One on Instagram. He went out there, and this is a picture of a big acreage of bait that he
yep,
found. This is kind of like what you were talking about, where it's just kind of
it's
as far as you
beautiful.
can see into the horizon, just a huge amount of bait. And it really is such a thing of beauty when you get to see the whole ecosystem alive and healthy and happy, and see how it brings the Cobias together and this, that, and the other. And yeah, it does it. It starts to just feel like you're sort of, being told to go to work and go get things done, and then somebody's just like intentionally trying to hurt you while you're trying to do it.
Exactly. And the other thing is, it's not just the cobias. Like in these bunker schools, you see houndfish, bluefish, Spanish, sharks. You name a predator fish.
Oh yeah,
That's what they live on.
right.
Like, and not only are bunkers like crucial to our bay, like that's a whole nother topic, but like we as, look sightcasters, we look in there and we see like you said, the entire ecosystem
Hmm.
revolves around these fish.
Right.
And seeing it, 10 years ago compared to let's battle over this 50-foot bunker school. Oh, is there a fish in there? It did not used to be like that. It used to be
Yeah.
just so much. Everybody had room.
Yep.
It was amazing back then. And
Yeah.
now it's just every day getting wiped out more and more.
It's going to be really interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day about this, to see what this fishery looks like come this time next year when you have a full season with the new 43-inch minimum regulation and the windmill bases, which have held a lot of bait and a lot of fish, and this excessively hot sea surface temperature that's kept a lot of stuff down in the bay. It's just going to be interesting to see. Like, I would wager that we have probably caught or harvested, I would say potentially less than half of the number of fish that we harvested by this time last year, just because of the amount of fish available. I know so many people that have gone out and had skunks on skunks on skunks because the fish just aren't up.
The 43-inch range hasn't really affected us to, but we're fishing 8 hours a day too. For
Right.
these guys that can only get out for a couple hours,
Yeah.
or they only get out, one time a week,
Yeah.
it does suck for them because they just go to the normal spots where they should be. I mean, and they go out there, and if they do see one, it's 40 inches. I will say one positive on this year is it's been a lot of bigger fish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying the giants, but it's been a lot I mean, your box is upper 40s, low 50s on average.
Yeah.
I mean, last week it was like we were getting them 55 to 63 inches, like average. But let's take a step back. We're not seeing, 1,043 inches.
Right.
You're seeing a quarter of what you saw last year.
Right.
But they were bigger. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's better or worse. Would you rather see 100 and catch a bunch of 40 inchers and 37 inchers, or would you rather, see less and have the bigger ones? That's been the name of the game this year. It is a lot less fish on the surface, a lot less. And there is a lot of lulls where you're just driving around like, well, maybe we'll see a fish in the next 45 minutes.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you on that. So
that part is
especially if you go to the normal cobia spots.
Right.
And the only reason the charter guys, have any clue is because we're out there every day and we can kind of see the patterns. But if you're only going once, twice a week, it's got to be really tough, really tough to figure out where to go, especially with Omega again as a factor.
Right.
So.
Right. It'll be interesting. I'm really curious to see how next year kind of unfolds depending on what the weather looks like and, the migration patterns. I firmly believe that there is something to do with those windmill bases sort of interrupting or delaying or somehow interacting with the migration of the fish that come from east to west, from offshore to inshore. But I want to change gears and kind of talk about some of your actual catches. So you mentioned some really big fish, 63 inchers. Tell us like one or two of those encounters with the fish that size. Like, what were you guys using for, your rod and reel? Were we circle or J hook, leader material, and what were those fights like?
So I actually made a switch. I'm not sure if I said this last time I was on here, but we made a switch. Most importantly, a circle hook.
Oh,
that
boy.
has been my biggest game changer. I'm gonna go over the rod and reel in a second, but I have been throwing so Luke here. Told me to throw this after last year. I was going through a bunch of pull offs, and then Luke's like, "Oh, try this hook." I kept pulling them off, J hook, J hook, J hook, and so I switched over to this a 9.0 laser sharp circle hook. And
is that an Eagle Claw product?
It is an Eagle Claw, yep.
Okay.
And not the thin wire; it's kind of thick. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's a 9.0 laser sharp, thicker gauge. And we have only lost one singular cobia that has been hooked over the course of me throwing them, which is all this year and probably half of last year. So once they're hooked, they ain't going nowhere. But anyway.
Hold on. I want to take a pause there so we can hear a word from our sponsor, Eagle Claw.
I'm just telling you you asked me what I use.
Only lost one cobia?
I swear to God, one singular cobia. And the only cobia we lost was he was going jumping and spinning and going psycho. I remember the fish. It was like a 50 incher and he did pull off and it sucked. But I was like, whatever. We lost one. Okay. Move to the next. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But they don't come off the circle. They do not come off that circle hook. It's amazing. The whole problem is teaching yourself to not set the hook when it eats.
That was going to be my question. Yeah.
Yeah. You just close it. And I usually put the boat in light reverse and then the rod bends and you got them. Done. No more. Always hook perfectly in the corner of the mouth. As for my leader, I usually am throwing 60-pound fluorocarbon.
Okay.
Any brands you want. I try to get the cheaper stuff. I don't really think it freaking makes a difference, to be honest. Mono
probably not as dirty water, but
exactly
the strength and the chafing resistance of fluorocarbon is far superior to mono.
Correct. That is correct. I agree with you on that. But so 60-pound fluorocarbon, and I've actually bumped my braid down a lot because I've been throwing some smaller baits this year. I'm using 20-pound or 30-pound braid. And I always throw high vis, like yellow, bright green, anything I can see, because like black or moss green, I just can't keep track of it. And I fight all my fish like slightly in gear to kind of keep them off the boat until they're ready to be netted.
Right.
And if it's that black or moss green line, you can't see it from up top. So I always use something super bright. My rods, I think most of my rods are around 7.6,
Yeah.
medium heavy, and anywhere from a 4,500 to a 5,500 series spinner reel.
That's
Nothing
interesting.
fancy there.
30-pound, 20-pound braid. I mean, that's light. I mean, have you gotten into a tango with one of those 63 inchers with 30-pound braid?
Haven't broken fish off this year. I took a lot of my stuff from Florida and I used it here. I always use light stuff down there in Florida. And well, I mean, you got to think, dude, 20-pound braid, you're not breaking that unless you really want to. But the reason why I'm
True.
using light braid is because how many times do you see a fish and he's just out of casting range?
Right.
You land 5 feet short, 4
True.
feet short.
True.
With that light braid, you can send it home as hard as you want. It's going. And I have been fishing looser drags as well with the circle hooks, let them fight for a while. I will say that you were asking about the 63 incher. That was a big fish. That was a 45-minute fight. But guess how many concerns I had? 0, because I had a circle hook. So I was just getting angry because it wouldn't go in the freaking net, dude. It just was so big. It would like come to the net and kind of roll away and like whatever. But never a concern on breaking or anything like that.
Yeah, we did kind of get a little of a firsthand education and experience, with Captain Matt on the click-through last year because they strictly fish circle hooks. And as you were talking about putting the boat like gently in reverse and just letting the rod load up, I remember watching them do that, and it was very graceful. Like it's a non-violent endeavor. It just kind of you watch them eat, you wait for them to turn away from you. You just kind of reel up the slack, and then you wait for that rod to load up, and then you give it, a little bit of juice, and you're hooked up.
There's 2 other things about the circle hook that are fantastic. Is number one, if you're catching a bunch of fish that day, let's say you killed 2, you got your box full. With those J hooks, gut hooking them, you feel terrible trying to unhook them or cutting the hook off and whatever. So you never get extra kills. Circle hook's always in the corner. You pop it out, good to go. The other thing is you were talking about, wait for them to turn away from you and whatever. So with a J hook, if they eat the bait and you set the hook, a lot of times you yank the bait 10 feet away from them, they lose interest, or they have half the bait in their mouth, you yank it and you rip the bait off. A circle hook, worst thing that happens is you crank it tight, it pulls out of his mouth, it's right 2 inches back in front of him. He eats it immediately again. So it's really simple, and it's awesome for charters because you don't have to there's no wait for him to eat it or anything like that. It's like cast, when he turns on it, just close the bail and just don't do anything. And I'll just put the boat in slight reverse when I see him eat it. Yeah. And they got him. So.
Well, there's a lot of advantages I'm hearing too. And I mean, I've had my hand down inside of a live cobia's mouth before trying to get a J hook out and ended up with, several lacerations around my forearm, which aren't fun, but I'm realizing as you're talking about this, it's like totally avoidable if I just use a circle hook. So I'm going to go home tonight and get on, my hands and knees and pray about joining Team Circle Hook. I might join.
You just got to throw them. You just got to man up and throw them one time. It was scary for me too, but I use circle hooks for every other fish in the ocean.
Right.
So I was like, why not a cobia? I lost so many, and they don't come off, and they're so easy.
Well, you've got me convinced. I mean, just talking it through. I mean, it's hard to find pros with a J hook now. Thinking about it, that outweigh the pros of the circle hook. There really isn't much of a comparison now that I think about it. So, all right, so talk me through that 63 incher that wouldn't get to the boat, because I was watching some of your stories, and every time Captain Zay 2 Toxic, who runs those fun boats around, ripping his vape pen and singing along. I mean, I don't think that guy's had a bad day in a long time. I could hear you saying, no chance he nets this on his first try. What is that all about?
Well, the general rule is cobias are impossible in that first try, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not possible. So I even, that's actually part of my talk in the morning before my customers get mad at my bait, is I say, hey, look, so you're going to get this fish in. He's going to come boat side, and whoever my mate is that day, he's going to go over the net. He's going to either jump out, kick over it, or spook away or whatever. Don't get mad at my bait. It's just not possible. So I mean, general rule is 2, 3 tries on the net.
Yeah.
And now there's always going to be the people on Instagram or Facebook that are the king of netting that say, "Oh, I would have netted him first try, put that
Yeah.
guy in training or whatever." They ain't got a freaking clue. If you say that, you've never netted a cobia
Yeah.
because they do not like nets. They're probably the hardest fish in the ocean to net. If I did.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I will tell you, my first couple of trips out this year, I felt so out of practice. Like I had like a 43 incher that I'm like, why can't I get this fish in the net? And it was like, I'm feeling so handicapped. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And fish just did not want to get netted. Plus, you guys use that net with that extra large bag and the extra thick sort of, rope material. And that thing has a ton of drag. I mean, I've talked to, Alex Field about it before. He's like, dude, I'm 6'3", like 230 and strong as a bull. And he's like, once that thing goes in the water, he's like, I'm a 12-year-old little girl. Like I can't move it. It's impossible. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's a serious net once you get that thing down in the water. So what do you tell Zay? What's the tip or the trick that you tell him to try to at least improve a little bit in terms of how long it takes him to get that thing in the net?
Well, the only tip I really have for netting is it's going to sound ridiculous, but I'm going to say it. When the fish comes in and they're green, aka like they're still fired up. Let's say you hooked a 50-pound cobia and he comes to the boat in 45 seconds.
Right.
That fish hasn't fought yet. I mean, he's still got plenty of energy. So what we do is Zay will put the net near him or slap the top of the water and make him burn out his energy and get off the freaking boat. Or what I do, not necessarily Zay, is if I can tell that fish is still super green, instead of fighting him vertically on the side of the boat, which is your most dangerous area, you got engines, you have, if you're throwing a J hook, by the way, you have the pull off factor, you have the gunnel. What I'll do is if I see he's still super green, but he's coming boat side, I'll actually drive slightly ahead of him and just keep pulling that fish until I see him kind of do the death roll.
Oh, yeah.
The cobia will kind of come up and like open his mouth and kind of roll on his belly.
Yeah.
And that means he's pretty much smoked at that point. But after that, only tips I really have are always go head first and just try to get that angler to pull with you and getting him into that net. And as soon as he gets in there, you have him in the ring, open the bail so he falls into the bottom. Because if you don't open that bail right away, you have tension on him. He can jump out, no problem. And obviously, if you don't guide it for whoever's netting, he could be the best netter in the world. But if he doesn't have the head pointed directly into the net or the basket, he can shoot out, he can jump out, whatever the case. Netting cobia sucks. It's just a lot of practice and a lot of just is what it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that I was reminded of. We finally caught a couple. I mean, I just felt like the world's worst fisherman this year so far. I've only been a few times, but the few times that I've been, I'm just like, man, I feel like a noob. But I was
this year
fighting.
Will change you.
What's that?
I said this year will change you, but I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, we were fighting a decent fish. It was like a 52 incher, and trying to get him in the boat, and I forgot, the importance of paying attention to what direction the current is ripping, because when you're trying to fight a cobia to the boat and you're fighting him against the current, you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. So when you're at that end game, that last little couple of death spirals before you get him in the net, one other tip that I would throw out there is just to pay attention to the current and make sure that you've got your boat and the fish going, with, if you can, with the current, right before you go to try to net it, because then you're able to use the momentum of the water. And then when you bring that boat to neutral, the two kind of marry up a little bit easier, as opposed to them being able to use the current as a tool against you.
Yeah. No, I do a lot of driving and guiding. I don't look at the current too much, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm always up top and I watch the head. So like I'll go forward and pull them up. Yeah. And then when I see Zay going with the net, and the fish is lined up, I will go into neutral, and it kind of just keeps that momentum going. He'll slide in there.
Yeah, and it's really only a factor when the current's like ripping hard. But that one I'm thinking of, that 52 incher, is like we kept trying to get him, we couldn't get him, and I finally on like the third try I realized like, hey, we're doing the circle thing where we're fighting him in a circle, and on like the third try I realized that every time we were about to get him, we were ripping against the current. So you're trying to drag the fish against the current into the net, and it's like it's just not working. So we finally, got wise and made sure that we were just kind of like towing him with the current, and then it went in easier. Any other tips or tricks as we kind of start to wrap up the beautiful topic of Lower Chesapeake Bay cobia this year, which really are not Lower Chesapeake Bay cobia because the whole bay is a hot tub right now. But any other thoughts on our tips or tricks on cobia?
Um, Only other thing I can think of is you better freaking be ready to burn some gas. You better think outside the box because there are fish to be had. It's good fishing, but you better be ready to run.
Yeah.
Don't just go to your normal areas where they've been for the past freaking 50 years or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Just if you go to an area and it doesn't feel right, you're not seeing stingrays, you're not seeing bait, you're not seeing crabs, the water's you're cooking in the tower just from the water temperature. You pick up that boat and you move. I mean, I've been burning a lot of gas recently.
Yeah.
So do not be scared to move. And also, one other really crazy thing I've done this year that's been very successful is fishing like the most random areas. Just wherever, like again, it goes to wherever you see cooler temperatures and bait. I mean, I've been catching fish a quarter mile off the beach for no reason. Like just because it's a little bit cooler there. It doesn't feel right. Your soul's telling you there's no fish here. Give
Right.
it 30 minutes. Give
Right.
it 30 minutes. The normal spots right now are not producing. You have to think outside of the box and go, even if it's going to feel like your soul doesn't belong there, but
Yeah.
that's where they are. They're just adjusting to these temperatures and wherever the life is. As soon as you see life, even if it's out of place, that's a spot, whether it's a quarter mile off the beach or 50 miles off the beach.
Yeah.
That's my biggest advice this year. And a lot of people have been calling me, hey, where are you catching your fish today? I'm like, I don't freaking know, dude. I'm like 100 yards off the beach right now. It's like, oh, what are you doing there? I'm like, I don't know. I see life and there's fish here.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest tip this year. 100% is even if you feel out of place and it's a weird area because you've done it for 15 years in the normal areas, it's not wrong this year. You just have to find those cold water pockets.
That's a really, really profound tip, and I hope people listening take that to heart because it's really hard to do that. When you're
Yes,
already
it
a
is.
little frustrated and you haven't been seeing anything, you feel like I gotta just hunker down where I know I've seen fish before. What your experience has been, that's not gonna result in what you're looking for. So, man, if folks are listening and are like, all right, well, I haven't tried a circle hook in a while and I haven't seen a cobia in a while. Maybe I should go.
In a while.
Maybe I should go fishing with Captain Austin Hain. What's the best way that they can contact you and get booked on Fineo Sport Fishing?
Yeah, man. So you can always check us out on Instagram. That's the best way to get a hold of me. You can shoot me a DM on there. We do live stories every day. That's my Instagram is Finao, Finao Sport Fishing. Or you can always shoot us a call or a text at 757-652-8260.
Awesome. And before we wrap up, I know Cobia has been the primary focus here, but you guys catch other things too. What have been some other things that you guys have been seeing and catching lately?
A lot of redfish. A
Okay.
lot of redfish. They're still around.
Yeah.
We've been seeing some open water schools. Those ones have been very hungry.
Yeah.
Been kind of just randomly out and about. You find those, you throw anything into them. There's been some other drums, but they're kind of just, I don't know. The open water ones have been really hungry. The ones, in the general areas, they've been super finicky, to be honest. You'll catch a handful, but you got to stay on them and stay on them and stay on them. But if you can find them again in this cold water, they eat everything. So we've been doing a lot of red fishing. We've been doing some sheep's head, and there's been quite a few nice tog as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, you keep saying cold water, but it's funny because it's not cold water. It's like very, very warm water, but it's slightly less hot than the really, really hot water. I think I don't know if it's you or somebody else posted like, what's the weather been like in Virginia lately? It's like, well, have you ever been cremated?
accurate.
So as I sit here and look at your incredibly sunburned face and looks like your shirt has some burn marks on it or something.
Dude, you give it a week. This nor'easter, It's going to be
Clear it
right
out.
everywhere. Everybody's going to be back to normal, going to their normal spots. There's going to be fish. I am telling you, because there's enough fish out there if you get in the designated not cold zone, but colder zone.
Right.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good in 10 days. It's going to be good.
Well, Captain Austin, I really enjoyed this segment for several reasons, just because it's always good to catch up with you and hear what you guys are doing. You always find a way to find some kind of cool adventure out there. You've been finding some really big fish, but what a breath of fresh air to get some optimism out of you for a change. You're normally the naysayer about, oh man, the fishing, this fishery is doomed, it's over. And here you are today, like, listen, guys, there's hope. Just hang on for a couple more days. It's gonna rain. It's gonna be good.
Well, I see the potential, but the potential is only in these 1 mile zones,
Right.
I know the potential is there. That's the difference.
Right. It's like quite literally, if you could imagine, I'm hearing you talk about it, it's like if you could imagine, okay, there's probably fish everywhere. And it's just like it's almost like ice fishing where they can't get up to the surface because of the ice. But if you find a hole somewhere, they're going to be right there. And that's like the little pocket.
Dude, I'm going to take that phrase. That is the best phrase I have heard all month with this hot water. We're ice fishing. That you nailed exactly what it's like out there right now. You nailed it. That was perfect.
You got a giant lake and you're fishing in a 1-foot hole.
Yep.
Anyways, well, it's always fun, man. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to catching up with you here in a couple of weeks and see how this nor'easter treats us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, that's going to wrap up this week's show. I hope you enjoyed that segment as much as I did. It's always fun to hear from Captain Austin and his wild adventures and get his hot take on what things are like out there in the Lower Chesapeake Bay. Stick around for a quick word from our sponsors, and y'all have a good weekend ahead. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. What you need are the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. So make the choice that captains all up and down the East Coast make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.